this is one of those times where I have my computer next to me and I'm going to have to keep looking down because I cannot for the life of me get into my head questions of tags. Welcome to my life. Hello beautiful bookworms, my name is Katarina and welcome to my channel, and today I am going to be doing the 1001 books tag. And this tag was originally created by Sandy from Miss Reads a Lot, which I just followed, and you should. I'm going to leave the link down below. She's really awesome. And I was tagged by Mason, from Mason in the Dark, and if you're not following Mason here on BookTube, you definitely should. I'm also going to leave his link down below because I have never seen someone as creative and as awesome as Mason. He is always there to say the most amazing things possible. He always has really cool questions and really cool points of view about the books that he reads. And yeah, and he's a creator. He creates original content and original things that he shares with us, and we are all blessed. And so if you are not following him, definitely do so. And thank you so much, Mason, for tagging me. I hope that you like my answers to these questions. If not, we can still be friends, I think. And so without further ado, let's just get into this tag. So the first question is called 1001 lists. Do you follow any book lists, like prize lists or challenges or lists for the books that you read? And my answer to that is going to be no, absolutely not. The only way that I follow lists is if I am being a part of some readathon and I do a list for myself of what I want to read for each challenge to complete it. But I don't normally do that. I don't really enjoy participating in readathons, especially because I have been having an unusual but now turning very usual amount of work that I have to pull through. For those of you who don't know, I'm doing a PhD, and so with that comes all of the work that one has, and the ends of the year and the beginnings of the year, well, all of the year is pretty much chaotic in my life. I have a lot of stuff to do, and I don't really take care of myself the way that I should. And so if I were following any type of list to tell me what I should or shouldn't read, well, I would pretty much be dead because I wouldn't be able to do it. And at the same time, one of the things that kind of bugs me about lists is that they always leave manga and graphic novels and comics out, and I do think they're very valuable of media to actually share stories. I do understand that not everyone can have access to the totality of the stories, and I do think that something like manga audiobooks or something like that could be possibly done if we had a great narrator and a great script writer to adapt the script of the manga into an audiobook. But the stories themselves are so valuable and so great and transmitted in such a well way that I'm really sad that most of the lists don't have them. And because I do really consume those media, I don't follow lists because why should I? I have my stuff in other places. I mean, if someone recommends me stuff, I would at least check them out. I may take a while to get to the thing because I'm not built of money and I'm in Portugal, so there's two things that make me not be able to get stuff. But yeah, sure, but lists, not really. The second question is 1001 books. Approximately how many physical books do you own? My question first is, are we counting manga and comics and graphic novels? Because if we are, I cannot count all of these, but I'm pretty sure I have more than 200 books in this house. I still have shelf space, so I would tell myself that I'm being very much controlled, but the fact is that my shelves are falling apart, and so I have shelf space because I can't put stuff in there, which means that I can get stuff because of that and not because I'm very controlled. And so I have a lot of books. I don't know how many books I have. When I know that I'm not going to reread a book, or or I don't really want that book for the collection or stuff, I normally give it either to charity, or if it's in good conditions, I try and sell it so that other, like for lower prices than I bought it, so that for other people can have access to the stories, because I feel like a book without being read is extremely sad. And I know that I'm the person that always wants the spines to look great and stuff, but that's just a personal thing. I do think that books should be read and handled carefully, or not, depending on who you are and how you feel, what you like to do with your books. But if I'm not going to reread them, or if I don't want them in my collection for any particular reason, I send them away to a new home. But I still have a lot of books, that's true. I don't know, if one day I move out of this house, I might count them and tell you, because wow, that's going to be terrible. But for now, I'm not going to count them. I'm very sorry, but more than 200, I think. Possibly. I don't really know, but at least 200, I think that, I don't know. I don't know. I'm counting manga as well, and mangas are really, you know, big series, so yeah. Why am I embarrassed at this point? I mean, we're all book collectors, aren't we? I mean, I shouldn't be embarrassed, should I? Please don't judge me. Like, books are my friends. So yeah, I like my friends. Then the third question is 1001 books read. Approximately how many books have you read, and do you keep track? So I don't keep track of the books that I read. This is just the first thing. I don't like to do it. I read because it's a hobby for me. I read because it's the only fucking way that I can live. If I don't read a tiny little bit, even if it's just one freaking page or one chapter or whatever, in a day, I will absolutely lose my fucking mind. There was this period of time where I had a lot of things to do, and it was COVID peak pandemic thing, and we were all at home quarantined and everything was going on, and I didn't have the joy to read. And I felt like that impacted me. And so I started to try and force me to read, because I knew that that was going to bring my sanity back, and it did. But I don't read to keep track of what I read and to tell you, oh my gosh, I read so much. And actually, this is the first year that I'm actually keep track of what I'm reading on Goodreads and actually doing the Goodreads challenge. And I can tell you that I have read more than 100 books this year because, of course, I count comics and manga as actual books. Because Goodreads counts them, and to be honest, I'm not prejudiced about mangas and comics, and so I count them as well. I understand that some people might say, oh, but it's just like comics are 22 pages, but I mean, who the fuck cares? I'm still reading. So yeah, it counts for me. And in this year, I have read more than 100. I'm trying to reach 120, but if I don't, I'm not going to be bored about that. I don't give a fuck about that, honestly. I think that people keep track too much of something that should be, I mean, if it's your work, your line of work, cool. If it's not, it should be a hobby. And I hear people say like, oh, I read so little, or I read so much, or I read... It's not a competition, people. It's really not. Just read what the fuck you want. I mean, you're not less of a reader or less of someone that likes to read just because you haven't read 100 books in a year. I mean, that's just stupid. People have different lives. People have different access and ability to read than others. So it's not, I hate keeping track. I'm just keeping track because now I have some NetGalley e-arcs and they ask me to keep track of them. And so since I'm keeping track of those, why not keeping track of these? And it kind of helps me know what I've read and haven't read to keep with ongoing series. But apart from that, I mean, fuck keeping track. I mean, seriously. Then the next one is 1001 Arabian Nights. And it says, have you read any stories from the Arabian Nights? And if not, do you want? So the Arabian Nights, I am familiar with the concept, and I do believe that I have read a child version of the 1001 Arabian Nights. This because I've never read the original, I believe, but I mean, I've been reading since I was approximately 5 years old, so there are stuff that I've read that I really don't remember or have the feel that I might have read, but you know, so it just goes. But I honestly do believe that I've read a child version of the original supposed tale of Sherazade and whatever. Do I want to? I really want to. I want to read it. I think that it's not my priority at the moment, but it is a classic, and I do think that because it's a very diverse story, and it has a lot of amounts of stories inside of the original supposed story, I think that it will be pleasant. My only thing with that is because it's an amount of stories, I am afraid that, as most short story collections, I do like some and don't like others, because that's normal, that's how it goes. You can't do perfect stories every time, unless you're Mason, because he just, I don't know how he writes that shit. I don't know. But apart from that, yeah, I don't know. It's the only thing that kind of keeps me from doing it, and also the fact that I don't have the actual book. But one day, yeah, sure, and it could be something cool too if I actually have children and grandchildren one day to actually tell them and read with them, because there's going to be things that I want to show my children, if I have some, that I haven't read and want to discover with them. That could be fun. So maybe it's not a top priority right now, but it would be interesting one day. 1001 flavors. Do you have a favorite food or flavor? Wow, this one is complicated. I think it's the most complicated question in this time. So a favorite food. Long time ago, I would have said lasagna, because I love Italian food. But now, honestly, if it's my favorite food, I am not really sure. I really like soup, but if that's a favorite food, like, I don't know. I like fruit, all types of fruit. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if I have a favorite food anymore. I don't know, I really like, the Portuguese cuisine is really good. Like, it has a lot of flavors, it has a lot of different types of food to eat, and I mean, there's a reason why foreign people, when they come in to do tourism and stuff, they really like our food, because our food is really great. I think that my favorite type of food is sweets. Well, I know it. I always like my dessert, and I always like some sweets. Portuguese sweets are really cool, even though I like others as well. And I don't know, I really like food in general. I like to eat, and sometimes that might be a problem for me. I had some situations about food, but I really like it. And there's people that have told me that they really like to see me eat because I look like I'm appreciating the dish. And it's like, it's one of the things that you take with you, you know, the flavors, the goodness of the thing. So yeah, I don't know. But flavor, I don't know. I mean, if you ask me ice cream flavor, I would probably go with Ben & Jerry's fishy thing. It's an ice cream that is chocolate, but it has some chocolate fishes. I don't know what that shit has, but it's really good. But I also like the peanut butter one. I like pancake flavor. I like chocolate flavor a lot in pretty much everything. I really don't know. Wow, this question, I would have to think more about this, to be honest. So next question is 1001 pages. Have you ever read a book longer than 1001 pages? And it also asks, what is the longest book you've ever read, and do you recommend the book? So first of all, let's get this out of the way. I have read books, plural, that have more than 1001 pages. I do believe. I'm going to check, but I'm pretty sure I did. If we count the fact that The Lord of the Rings is supposed to be just one gigantic big book that is divided into 3, I read that. I also read It by Stephen King, and I have read some of the Outlander books by Diana Gabaldon are more than 1001 pages. And are there though? Yeah, yes, they are. I think they are. And I've read The Count of Monte Cristo, which I'm pretty sure is more than 1001 pages. If it's not, I'm very sorry. I'm not trying to lie to you. It's just, yeah, they're big. Would I recommend them? Well, that's very controversial because not everyone is going to like everything. For instance, for now, I haven't read all of King's works, but for now, It is my absolute favorite King. I will defend until I die that that's an entirely metaphorical work, that everything in that work made sense by a metaphorical point of view, and that that's a very nostalgic and sort of happy, sad story about what it means to grow up and leave things behind, and how fears change, but not really change, from being small to being an adult. And so for me, that's an amazing book, and I absolutely love them. The Count of Monte Cristo, for sure. I mean, I know it's a classic and it's really big, but is the ultimate revenge story, and I have nothing else to say on the matter. I loved revenge stories after I started reading The Count of Monte Cristo. I think it's beautifully written. Alexander Dumas was, sadly, a pro writing, and everything that he does write is amazing. Yeah, the Outlander books, I don't think they're for everyone. They're historical fiction, romance, paranormal, historical fiction, sort of. There's fantasy in there, which is why I read it, but the historical fiction is cool, but it's not for everyone. There's a lot of romance, there's a lot of slow narration, and it's kind of always the same thing, but I really like it as a guilty pleasure for some reason. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. Do I recommend them? I do, if you think that they could be your type of book, because if not, I don't. I don't know. I really like them. 1001 buckets. Do you have a non-bookish bucket list? And if yes, what is on it? Sort of. It's not really, I don't really do lists unless about things that I have to do and want to do for my coursework. So I have some lists of places that I would like to go, but it's like it can change, and it doesn't have to be now. It could be later. I don't know, I have some lists of books that I want, but again, it could change, and it doesn't have to be, it's not pressing. More lists. I don't know, I don't do well with lists because I need to not have something pressuring me all of the time. So yeah, I don't think so. I do have lists of things that I would like to do, but again, it's something that would change, and I don't know what my life is going to be. So if I'm going to be able to do them, I don't know. So yeah. 1001 numbers. Do you have a lucky number, and what is the story behind it? It's not really a lucky number. I am not a gambler. I never was, and I don't bet on stuff. But I do really like the number 8 a lot. I don't know why. Don't ask me. There's no story that I can remember of. Maybe I just subconsciously made it go away, but there's no story that I can remember about the number 8. I really like the number 8. I had a phase, which I'm still on. It's not really a phase, it's my life. I don't really like odd numbers. I prefer even numbers, and in those numbers, I prefer number 8. I don't know, maybe because he's round and just perfectly symmetrical, and it also might be associated with the symbol of infinity. I don't know. I really don't know, but I really like number 8. If that's, I mean, that's boring as hell, but that's who I am. 1001 authors. Do you have a favorite author and or genre? So, getting out of the way, my favorite genres are fantasy and horror. But I also love to read classics, like really a lot. And for me, classics can be interspersed through the genres, like Lord of the Rings, for instance, is a classic fantasy story. But if you're talking about Wuthering Heights, which is a great book, it's a classic Victorian book, which doesn't have to do, it's kind of sort of it's not really a romance, but it's a romance for purposes. It's a novel. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I have been expanding and reading more genres. I really like magical realism, but if it's my favorite, I mean, I can't read a lot of magical realism in the same time because it takes a lot out of me. But yeah, I like thrillers, but I feel like I prefer horror, and some thrillers are not great, to be honest. So yeah. Favorite authors. I do have one, is Haruki Murakami. He's a Japanese author. that I feel like as long as he lives, he will never get the Nobel Prize because he doesn't give a shit about it, which is really funny. But my mom and I are like, if he one day wins the Nobel Prize, we're going to like get a bottle of champagne and celebrate the fuck out of it. We have all of his books. I have his books in different languages even. I have most of them in Portuguese because obviously, but I have one in Italian when I went for Erasmus in Milan, because I had no book to read and it was a new book of his that I didn't have. And so because I was feeling lonely, I got it for me, and I have one of his books in English in hardcover edition because my mom got it for me, because in Portuguese they divided it in two for some stupid reason, and I really wanted to read it, and part 2 wasn't out yet, so instead of getting me part 1, she got me the entire book. And one of my Christmas gifts, it's actually going to be his last release. I love him. I think that even though I like some of his books more than others, he is a master of his art. I know that a lot of people say that he doesn't treat women correctly in his books, and I think that those people are missing the point. Actually, women are the ones that have more character and more development and more than his male characters. And if you want to discuss that with me, I can do a whole video about that. If you want that, tell me in the comments down below, or just discuss with me in the comments. But I've read his books several times and I am pretty sure of what I'm saying. But I mean, again, it's interpretation, because magical realism is about metaphors and not actual realism. And there are some people that don't understand that, but I mean, everyone is free to like what they like. I really love his writing. More favorite authors. Well, I would say Alexandre Dumas. I have read 3 of his books. There's more books to read. I just found out about that and I was really happy because, of course, that man is dead. He is the writer of The Count of Monte Cristo, which I already talked about, The Three Musketeers, and The Black Tulip. I think that's the name of the one that I've read. I have just now found that The Three Musketeers is actually a trilogy. So Three Musketeers is the first one. Then it's 20 years after or 12 years after, I don't know. And then is The Man in the Iron Mask, I think that's what it's called. And so those 2 I still have to read. He's just a master of plot points, of intrigue, of revenge, of action, of feelings, and I really love, for some reason his works are adapted to cinema multiple times, and I really like his writing. I think it's amazing. I do like Charles Dickens a lot, but I don't think he's one of my favorite. I would have to check it. I have some favorite mangakas, like Inyo Asano. I pretty much love all of his works. I haven't read all of them, but I mean, I'm sure I will. Shuzo Oshimi also, I really like his works as well. And there's someone that is trying really hard to get in my favorite authors. Well, he's not trying. I feel like he's going to be one of my favorite authors. I am also lucky enough to call him a friend, and that is Gavin Gardner. He is the author of Foray and The Last Testament of Crichton Smythe. And those are horror books, heavy horror books. One is a book, one is a novella. And I loved Foray, absolutely. The Last Testament of Crichton Smythe I liked. I didn't have the same impact on me as Foray, but I am really anxiously waiting his next book because I think he's going to be a favorite after that. So yeah, I don't know. Then is 1001 activities. Do you have a favorite outdoor activity? I like to do picnics. I don't do them very often because I need to be in a specific set of spirit, but I love picnics. I like to take walks like on forests. For some reason, I prefer the forests to the sea, even though I really like the sea and I like to go to the beach, but I have a strange relationship with heat. And so I really like to be like really hot, but when I start breaking sweats, I start to stop enjoying it and I feel like kind of sick. So I prefer going into the forests when the time is nice and just have a hike. I really like that. I don't do it very often because I have to take my car and actually go to the place and then hike there, and I don't really like it. I don't do it very often, but when I do it, I like it. More outside things. I like to see Christmas lights and Christmas fairs or specific fairs. I loved to go. We had a middle-aged, like a fair for kings and queens of Portugal and all of that. You know, I don't know how to explain this. I like middle-aged fairs for some reason. I don't know. I really like it. I don't know. I don't have a lot of hobbies that go outside of the house. I'm a little bit of a inside buggy, but when I do, those are sort of the ones. Then 1001 book clubs. Should Sandy start a book club? This is a funny question because I've only now started following Sandy. But she seems great, and I mean, if you want to create a book club, do it. I bet there's a lot of people out there waiting for their perfect book club, and this might be their own. So do it, Sandy. And the final question is 10 plus 01. Oh, okay, 1001, but 10 plus, okay. Sorry, I'm slow getting these. So it's tag 10 friends. I'm not going to tag 10 people because there's a lot of people that have been doing this. I'm going to tag people that I would like to see their answers and that I think that they haven't done this. But if they have, I mean, sorry about that. So I'm going to tag Sasha from The Wild Sasha. And I'm going to leave all the links on below so that you can follow these people. I'm going to tag Sasha from The Wild Sasha. I'm going to tag Kasia from Kasia's Book Cemetery. I am also going to tag Madison from Princess of Paperback. And I'm going to tag Jade from Jade Juniper. If they want. If they don't want to do it, it's fine. They'll probably not watch this video, but I would really like to see their answers to this. So that's going to be all for this video. It's a big one. Wow, it's a big tag. So that's going to be all for this video. If you have questions or want to discuss something with me, take it to the comments down below, and happy readings to you all. Bye!